So I just bore witness to the Monster Hunter movie, and it got me like, Monster Hunter? More like pain. Agony even. Actually, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, let's talk about that. Monster Hunter is undoubtedly one of my most favorite video game series. Yeah, ever since Try on the Wii, I have been an avid follower of this franchise through its many iterations. Well, at least trying to get to play as many of the main series' games as I can. You will be getting an overview and retrospectives of this franchise from me one of these days. Someday. Not today. Today, we are checking out the recently released movie. Yay, this is gonna suck. To be fair, I haven't played Monster Hunter in a good while, but I am still knowledgeable in the fine intricacies of the ever-important Monster Hunter lore and canon. Well, I have at least retained enough information to be able to nitpick this thing to death and back. Using a fire weapon against Rathalos? Cringe! What even is that? Is that one of those newfangled hunter arts or something? I'm too much of an old-timey guild-style press A to vault kind of guy. So, how accurate is this movie to the games, Trey?
Well, I love the game so much. I mean, I wanted the movie to be very, very close to the game, and it is.
Paul Wes, not Wes, but Wes Anderson.
He's history's greatest monster!
He directed all those weird Resident Evil movies that barely have any resemblance to the games. I heard they're not too bad, and are kinda good as the schlocky, actiony B-movies that they are, and do have a little interesting custom continuity, so I've heard it's gained somewhat of a following. Well, enough of a following to fund 7 movies. Holy crap, over $1 billion in revenue? What the heck? Either way, despite their success, I have not really heard good things about this thing. So yeah, fans were pissed when they heard Capcom was going to have them direct a Monster Hunter movie, and were most definitely pissed when the plot got leaked. Oh my god, what is this? Why are they shoehorning a modern military into my over-the-top fantasy world? Yep, they turned Monster Hunter into an isekai.
See if you can spot the split second of hideous CG dragons spliced in there as a subliminal warning.
Honestly, I'm not too upset about this setup like most people, because, well, for a couple of reasons. One would be that Monster Hunter, it's not a game that you play for the story. You play it for the experiences. The world of Monster Hunter seems to have a lot of depth, but despite all the cool details, it's really surface level. It's only there to be a stage for your half-hour Dark Souls boss fights. What's your favorite Monster Hunter story? Mine would be when the big scary ancient/new monster is terrorizing the local spot of civilization, and so we gotta grind to kill it until a bigger threat shows up, and then I grind and kill that. I know lore exists, like the ancient civilization, the Forbidden Act, and the Great Dragon War, but, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's that expansive, like at all, and I don't think it's been like updated since Gen 2, but I don't know how one could make a story set in the Monster Hunter world that's worthy of a movie, especially one that's supposed to introduce a mass audience to such a unique and strange high fantasy world. Hence, shoehorned in military.
What I've always tried to do is I've tried to please an audience that know nothing about the video games, while also trying to please the audience that know everything about the video games. And that can be that's a very fine line that you try and walk to please both audiences, because if you just go for the fans of the game, then you exclude everybody else, and people, they feel excluded. They go, oh, I don't really know anything about the world, this isn't for me. But then if you ignore the fans, then obviously the fans are really upset because they have like 15 years worth of investment in their favorite game, and they want to see that reflected on screen. So pleasing both audiences can be very difficult.
Personally, I think only serialized adaptations would work best for this franchise, and even then, the only optimal plot idea that naturally comes to mind is, well, I'm going to be the very best Monster Hunter one day. Unless they actually want to start diving into the lore again. But yeah, I don't know if it's a movie is possible. I'm curious if a movie would be possible, but I think only like series would do really well. I remember back when I made Flip Notes, I attempted to make my own series with already experienced monster hunters, trying to take down an environmentalist cult that learned how to shapeshift into monsters. But I didn't even get to that part. Yeah, I never finished that series. I kind of wish I did. But yeah, I'm curious if a movie could really work. I think that with enough time and creativity, it should be possible to come up with a Monster Hunter story able to be made into a new movie that even some random schmuck who has never heard of Monster Hunter can get on board with. If you, dear viewer, have an idea for one, please do comment below. I'm really interested. Other than that, the second reason would probably be that I think the setup with our world being connected to the Monster Hunter world, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities concerning Monster Hunter, especially when factoring in the possible pseudo-canonicity of Monster Hunter World's cross-promotional DLC stories. Yeah, I remember those where like magic crystals or something start linking this universe to alternate dimensions, pulling in characters and monsters from series like Final Fantasy and The Witcher. But I doubt Mr. Anderson himself even knows about that out that I just gave him. Instead, it's chalked up to, ooh, the ancient civilization could travel between worlds. Which, by the way, Capcom? Is that canon? Cause that has a lot of implications for this franchise, you know. Whatever. How's the actual movie? Well, I went in expecting a trash fire and an absolute disservice to the IP, but when I came out, I couldn't say that I hated it. When I saw that opening scene with the sand ship with the bones all over it, it signaled to me that there's at least one person here that knows what they're doing, and I won't lie, I got a little giddy. Alright, I'm gonna break this review down into two sections. As a movie and faithfulness to the games. As a movie, it's not the best. The editing and pacing for like the first 30 minutes can be understated as manic. Even during the parts where the soldiers weren't getting killed by everything ever. I swear, this movie gave itself like 2 first acts. Like, they got it, I think they got like isekai'd on like minute 6 of the runtime. The middle sections between Artemis's gets blocked by Diablos and her and the hunter actually killing it and getting on with the rest of the story felt really stretched. Like, the middle feels bloated and the beginning and ends feel like really rushed. Yeah, the pacing's just terrible. And that ending is just straight up sequel bait. Like, nothing, no satisfying conclusion. It's just straight up sequel bait. Although I barely got to learn anything about her, to the point where I pretty much forgot her character's names, the main protagonist, Captain Artemis, sorry. The main protagonist was not the worst. Like, due to the often mishandlement of strong female protagonists and the fact that this is Mr. Anderson's wife, I was sure she was just going to be an annoying, bland Mary Sue type that would end the movie taking on G-rank missions after a poster-pleasing pose and a cringy one-liner. But I actually got really invested in her constant near-death plight. Her journey from Sandshark bait to I don't care about anything anymore, I'm going to Demon Rage combo a dragon right in the face, was at the very least believable and somewhat engaging. And I think the acting, like, from everybody was actually alright. I just wish she had more of a character. Same goes with our actual monster hunter over here, who just seems like he's unhinged most of the time. In fact, when they first met face to face, they beat the absolute crap out of each other for like no good reason. I don't know why. Well, maybe because, well, I can't say because that's kind of a big spoiler. But yeah, they get in a fight, and despite being in really bad condition, she whips out some trained CQC on him, and I'm like, yeah, that should even it out. But then he goes like, start doing all these kung fu moves and crap, and like, bruh, hunters aren't like that. Like, yeah, the actor's like a great martial artist, but it's like, monster hunters aren't like that. They just throw around big giant weapons, and oh, he knows how to use adult swords. Never mind, sorry. But yeah, like, the main hunter seems unhinged, especially since there's like a language barrier between the two leads. Yeah, they mainly communicate in pointing, shouting, and grunts, and trying to set words, and yeah. I think the main problem with this movie is that it just falls short in every single category. Characters, character development, structure, writing, editing, special effects, fight scenes, like everything. It's not particularly bad in any of those areas, it's just subpar. Like, made just competently enough to get a passing grade. And it just comes off feeling below average, I'd say. Honestly, the CGI is probably this movie's strongest aspect. Well, until you get a close-up of the monsters, then they look pretty bad. The music, the score is pretty good, but it probably would have been better suited to a different movie. It has like that generic movie orchestra, but also some heavy techno bits that are just really out of place. Come on guys, why'd y'all have to do this? Monster Hunter has a bunch of amazing themes and stings. When it came to faithfulness to the games, it's weird. In some areas, there's like a lot of oversights and inaccuracies and dumb crap, but in other areas, it seems like it's really faithful and surprisingly accurate, and even has many small details and even possible Easter eggs. Like in this one scene, our lead says,
"Let's do this."
Hmm?
Never mind.
And I bet my butt that that's a reference to the fact that the first default preset phrase in multiplayer is "let's do this," which is one of them I like to use a lot. As said, there's a bunch of cool stuff and props that would definitely fit in with the games, like everything in the Hunter's hideout, and also a giant skeleton of Vidarin Moran. I thought that was pretty neat. 3 prevalent monsters show up in this movie. Diablos. They did a pretty good job with him, except he definitely would have been affected by a Gatling gun instead of not even flinching. Gatling guns are stupid powerful, man. Also, they didn't acknowledge in universe how ear-bleedingly loud his shriek is. Either way, he's still a major thorn in the hinds of our protagonists, as he should be. Fun fact, Diablos are, in fact, herbivores. They just like to eat cacti, but they're extremely territorial and will kill anything that moves near them. Nurskila, I think I'm pronouncing that one right. Yeah, this one surprised me. I was not expecting her. Though, they're the ones that they've done the most dirty to, or I guess I should say, taken the most creative liberties with. Hey, remember in Monster Hunter 4 where you had to fight like a swarm of them? No, they don't swarm like that? Yeah, I thought so. It's more like a handful of them for every giant web nest they make. How they present them, it seems like they're like an apocalyptic level threat, even for the Mohun world. Also, they don't live in the desert. Rathalos had to make the series' main mascot way more OP than he actually is. They present him as like a guardian of an ancient ruin, and even have him destroy a whole mobile division near effortlessly.
The ancients would guard their technology with the most fearsome of creatures, a Rathalos. Almost impossible to kill.
Jeez, he's like bottom of high tier, guys. Y'all treating him like Fatalis or something. Plus, I swear, they kept changing his scale on the fly. Like in some shots, he's like normal size, but like in other shots, he's like gigantic. Anyways, I was going to say that they should have just had Fatalis here, but I almost forgot how powerful Fatalis actually is. Like, if they had him do the same thing as Wrath did in this film, like, I'd say Fatty was UP. They also showed off a bunch of other monsters, mostly small ones, and I always liked it when they name dropped them and showed them just chilling in nature, which is like the main theme of this franchise. Speaking of something major to this franchise, where the crap are all the felines? You know, the cat people, the people cats? Yeah, remember them? Where are they? I am glad that at least one showed up for like maybe 15 seconds of total screen time. From the noxious fumes I was smelling from a trash fire I was presuming this movie was going to be, I wouldn't have been surprised if they were made absent like and just in case they might have scared away a potential general Western audience that would think that cat people would be too stupid and Japanesey. It just sucks. If they make more Palicos, please. Overall, it's a dull action flick that has applied the Monster Hunter coat of paint surprisingly well, but not well enough to keep fans from hating on it, let alone saving the movie as a whole. Whenever this film leans into the more Monster Hunter-y side of things, I see a shimmer of something better. This movie does have a few high points, but it never seizes them. This movie just feels too scared to play with its strengths. It's not terrible, and it's stereotypically meh, but I'll be honest, I kind of like this movie. Like, I had a little fun with it. I personally think other reviewers are being way too harsh on this movie, although I do seem to have a habit of unironically enjoying any kind of action flick with at least moderate fight scenes. So yeah, you probably will find this movie atrocious. I went with a friend to see it in theaters, and we were the only ones there because, you know, having our own little personal theater was kind of cool. He had no familiarity with the games, and on his way out of the theater, he told me, at best, it's probably worth around a rental. And yeah, I think that's fair. Except, I'd probably give it I'd watch it once for the novelty, but I probably wouldn't want to pay money to see it. And yet I have. I'm TreyGamr58. I might finally start playing through Iceborne since I got good internet again. I'd like to get through it before MH Rise releases, but if I were to start playing it now, y'all would not be getting any videos from me for like a few months. Next video will be about a dragon that you play instead of slay, so subscribe if you want to see that. Like the video if you share my sentiments, or comment me things to me if you don't. And so, until next time, I'll see you next time. So, see ya.